Okay, great. So before we begin, can we get everyone's agreement that we can share this video publicly with a thumbs up? Thank you, everyone. Okay, great, great. So I'm gonna just let Cassidy take it away. Take it away, Cassidy.
All right, thanks, Jared. Hi, everyone. So let me pull up our agenda. Happy Monday.
Yeah, and let me just thank everybody for all the great work that you guys have been doing, that we've been doing as a team. I'm super excited. This is like a seminal moment for us as a team right now.
Yes, it is. It's very exciting. Okay, so Isa2, are you still okay to take the minutes? Yep, awesome. Thank you. We already agreed to make it public. So, like Jared said, we're sort of getting to the culminating moment of our HubSpot migration that we've been working on for so long. So I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at the communication stages for the student groups that I had sent out. I think it was yesterday. So
I slightly edited it. I did take a look at it, slightly edited it. So we might want to look at it again to make sure the edits I made are okay with everybody. If you guys haven't seen it since then, that was this morning. I think I did that.
Okay, let me pull it up really quick then. Oh, no, not there.
Yeah, I think I thought it was all really good. So it was only just slight edits that I made to try to make sure it was, clear.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me just track your changes so we can see what we changed. Okay. So we've made contact, we've identified a specific point of contact, we've connected with our specific point of contact. Our information has been shared with members of the group and then via either email, their website, or social media. We have had a Zoom or phone meeting with a representative of the group. And someone has joined Uniting for Action as a result of sharing from the group. Those all look great to me. I don't know if anyone else has any feedback.
Yeah, I also
do we like them?
Yeah,
okay,
they're all pretty good.
Perfect. Well, I could add these in then to our student group HubSpot. And we can sort of simultaneously have that as a goal this week to start identifying those stages as we're sort of working with sending out the email, which I believe we'll talk about in a minute. So perfect. I'm glad we could finalize those. And I think those look good. So that's going to help us get more organized.
So just to be clear, I think we've talked about this as a group, but can you go back to the stages again, Cassidy? So just to be clear, basically this is going to be 9 check marks within a field.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think we all agreed that check boxes would be better because sometimes there's more than one that's applicable, right, Jared? Isn't that what you were saying last week?
Yeah. So actually it wouldn't be 9 because number 4 isn't going to have its own. So it's basically, well, I mean, it'll be like our information has been shared via email will be one, our information has been shared via their website will be another, information has been shared via social media. So those will be the 3 choices there.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's great. Yeah, that'll be wonderful. That's a great way to track it. I think that's good for now. I can't think of any other ones right now. And if we have more along the way, we'll figure it out along the way.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So I can add those tonight. That doesn't take me very long. And then we can start categorizing. I had mentioned to Jared earlier yesterday or today that I did look into trying to exporting old notes from HubSpot. And unfortunately, it doesn't have that capability of doing like a mass export. So I know when I was going through and moving information, I was copying and pasting. There weren't that many that had a lot, and I was just expanding the whole thread. So I think that's probably how we're going to have to do it for now with any, one that has pertinent notes.
I think, Cassidy, would you mind not only for the people here, but just to kind of create this standard of the nano actions. And by the way, I didn't get to say in the last meeting, so I'll just mention now, even though it's not really appropriate for this meeting, but since it's coming up and I want to have it on video and I want you guys to understand. Can you stop sharing for a second? I'll explain the nano. So, I was calling it like micro tasks last week, but the problem is that we can't brand around micro tasks because we don't own microtasks.com. But I was able to purchase nanoactions.com. So we can brand around nano actions if we want to. I'm not sure I really love that brand. I actually prefer microtasks than nano options or actions, nano actions personally. Maybe nano actions will grow on me. This is a conversation for the outreach team. I'm sorry we didn't get to have it in their outreach team. Maybe we can have it in the production team. But I'll wrap up because I don't want to take up too much time of the recruitment team, but I just want you guys to understand this as we're kind of going through it, is that it's kind of like nanoparticles and nanotechnology, and you hear this nano stuff. So that's why we're bringing it. Nano literally means 1/1,000,000th. I know most of you know that as scientists. Nano is 1/1,000,000th. So really a nano action is like 1/1,000,000th of an action, right? So basically, as we're creating this concept around us creating global strategic solutions, and then within those global strategic solutions, we break it down into project, and we break the projects down into actions, and then the actions are further broken down into nano actions. The idea is that we can break it down to where we can have, 1,000,000 different teeny little nano actions that are all coming together to create this result together, right? So that's the concept behind the nano action. And that's why we may call it nano action, because we can kind of almost like trademark it, right? And make this whole concept of nano actions out in the world. So we'll see if that's what, but anyways, the reason I'm bringing it up now is because what I'd like you to do, if you're okay with this, Cassidy, is actually what you were just describing in terms of copying the whole like thread and then pasting it. Like I could imagine like maybe a couple of different ways of that happening. So I'm thinking, can you actually create a video showing, you doing it? So it's really super clear. And that's basically like this model that we're creating, right? Because this is a nano action, right? What you're doing is you're doing, like in this case, we have a limited number of people that have access to it, but in the end, what you're doing is you're taking this complex task, which is migrating over, to HubSpot from one to another, and now it's getting broken down into actions and then sub actions and nano actions. And so this is one where it's like just going through and copying and pasting notes, right? And that in and of itself is a one very specific nano action that can be repeated over and over again when it needs. So this is conceptually, I just want you guys to really like ground into what all these concepts are when I'm describing in the breakthrough video, that our top breakthrough is that we're creating this whole nano action concept, because this will literally in the future change the way work gets done in society. As a matter of fact, I was just watching Fareed Zakaria today. I don't know if you guys ever watched him on CNN, but yesterday his program had a part that was talking about the whole future of work and how now people are, less satisfied with the old types of work that they used to have now that they've had different experiences through the pandemic. And so again, the world is like ready to embrace nano actions as a foundation for doing work. Like I can just do all this. So anyways, I just want to kind of give you guys the foundation for this. And it's also important, as I'm tying it back to recruitment as much as I can, so I'm going a little off topic in all these places. For recruitment right now, we really need to tune in. I'm skipping ahead and I'm sorry, I don't know where this might be in the agenda, or even if it is, because we didn't talk about this, Cassidy, but it's been on my mind lately, is that for recruitment, we need to share concepts in a way that really like gets people excited, right? In a way that really gets people's attention and gets them excited. And we need to learn, we're already, figuring out how to describe things and that sort of thing with outreach. So it's great, Mariana, that you're in this, team too, so you can kind of be a crossover, because we have to find ways to describe things in ways that people are getting, like what a big deal this is and what we're doing, and that we're really attracting people. And that's one of the things I want to do. I think I want to do it tonight if we can, is I don't know if you want to add this, Cassidy, to the agenda while I'm talking about it at the end of the agenda, is for us to talk about setting targets for expectations for like numbers of career services offices that we're going to have, whatever metric we're going to use, that they're sharing our information through their email newsletter. How many career services offices are we going to have do that this fall, and what and take a quick sip. How many students are we going to have as part of the project for the spring by December 1st? That's a target that I'd like to set. Well, I won't even get to the targets yet, but let's talk about that later in the meeting, to set these types of targets as a team, what we're committing to and what we're agreeing to in terms of our metrics as a team. So I know I jumped around a bunch of different things there. Where did we start all of that? Just to go back to where we left off.
We were talking about the
HubSpot migration with the nano actions, right?
Mhm.
So with the HubSpot migration, yeah, I think at this point, as I shared with Cassidy, she'll do this video for us so we can all be really clear about what we're doing for moving this things over. But I don't want to, first of all, there shouldn't be a lot of records that have a lot of notes, just because that we didn't go into that much depth with that many different people. But I don't want us to get bogged down with like copying things if it's not going to pay off in some benefit to us down the road. I think, I don't know, Cassidy, have you seen enough different contexts to know that it's pretty rare to have a lot of notes in there? Or do you have a sense, or does anybody have a sense of? I think it should be pretty rare. I just want to make sure, because again, if it's pretty rare, okay, you copy and paste a couple of times and that doesn't take up too much time. I just don't want to have like hours getting dropped into this, copying and pasting from one to another. You get what I'm saying? So I wanted to make sure we're guarding against that.
It seems pretty rare for me when I was doing my like assigned pages for the migration. It seemed like even the ones that had them maybe had like 2 emails, and you just copy paste and it takes like a few seconds. So it didn't seem like it was going to be a whole thing.
Okay, that's great. So we won't need to worry about it. Once you give us the model, then we'll have it. And again, I want us to get into this habit of doing these like nano actions and defining these nano actions, because again, once we do it, then it gets to be a standard that gets to be shared and gets to be. So even though this particular one is probably not going to get repeated for us organizationally, because we're doing this migration once, presumably, but maybe other organizations need to go through this at some point. And once we've done it, then we've got a model out there that any organization can use. And that's the type of way that this works. You get that? So when you have, thousands or tens of thousands of organizations across the country using HubSpot, then when any of them do anything, they can turn it into nano actions and put it in the system. And now everyone else has a roadmap for how to do things. And then when you have a number of data points, then you get it kind of optimized by the collective intelligence, essentially. So then whenever you need to do anything organizationally, there's a connect the dots version that's already been created for you that allows you to just plug your people power into the nano actions that are defined to create some result. You guys get what I'm saying in terms of, again, this is where it starts to get to be revolutionary in terms of how work flows in our society. So, but it all comes back to you, Cassidy, because you're one of the first people that's modeling what it looks like to take an action and break it down into nano actions. So I just want you to get a sense that by you doing this, not only are you doing a video to help guide the people on the team, but you're doing a video to help show the world what it looks like to nano actionify a process.
I like that, nano actionify.
I'm actually, to tell you, and we'll just leave it at this, at the moment I'm leaning, and I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm leaning to finding some letters to put in front of action that are going to be the word of what we're doing. So like daction, or something that's not already a word, because like fraction is already a word.
Yeah.
And traction is already a word. And there's other, but if we like daction or something like that, that isn't a word yet. Anyway, I'm going too far. I'm going too far astray for us for this meeting. Please bring us back, Cassidy.
Alrighty, let's see where we're at. Okay, so we talked about the stages. I'll go ahead and input those and then create that video so that everybody knows how to do that. I did create this schedule, which I already have open. It's very simple. And I don't know if the breakdown of the hours works for everybody. I originally had.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So are those Eastern time hours, just to be clear?
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that's not on Eastern time, right?
Okay, got it.
I think so. So yeah, I'm totally fine with it being Eastern time hours. I wouldn't be available until these evening hours just because I have a full-time job. So I don't want to say I could commit to responding because meetings and things come up. So but I don't know if this breakdown works for everybody. Or if you guys are okay with it, I'd like to just get it filled out now since we're hopefully going to send out our email tomorrow, right, Jared? Is that what we're hoping for?
Yeah, I think, again, part of this comes down to, are you guys sending things out coming from you, right? Because that's where you want to be available to respond, ideally, is if any of these emails are coming from you, and you have that option we talked about. It's been a while now since we talked about it, but if you guys want to be developing, relationships with career services offices and being our point person, so to speak, for certain different universities and that sort of thing, this is your opportunity to do so. And then in that case, the response here, like if everything is coming from me, then it's almost like I need to be the only person that's available, right, to respond. But it's more of like, it's a collective pool of us sending out emails, with our names on it, and then kind of other people on the team covering for everybody else that's sending. You get what I'm saying? Which to me is more of the model of like what we want to create as a standard, again, as kind of a model for others to follow. So I think in that case, it's like we talked about, you'll be able to see, if anybody responded to anybody during that time, and then you can go ahead. And this is the thing, is we have to kind of define what the response is going to be if you notice something come in, right? Like, then how are you going to respond? What is that response going to look like? Are we going to have some templated response? I don't even know what all of that looks like right now. So that's I think kind of figuring it out, is that what are people actually committing to when they take a time slot? It's like, what are they going to need to be responsible for during that time? What are they going to have to do? So I think that's the first thing to kind of define is what are people's options going to be when they're monitoring? And then also, what's the standard for monitoring? Like, do they have to check the email like once every hour during that time shift, or at least once every hour, or 2 hours, or what does it look like to say that you're covering a time shift? So I think those are the two things in my mind, is like, what's the responsibilities, and then what's the logistics?
So are you saying that you'd prefer if, say, for instance, for example, an email response came into me after we sent out the email and I responded to that person, maintaining that consistency where now I am sort of assigned to that career services office? Is that our goal? Okay.
That's yeah, for sure. That is the most ideal situation, because having one person assigned allows that rapport to develop and
Mhm.
the consistency to be developed, that the person, at the career services office, knows who they're dealing with. And
Mhm.
so I think that's the model that we want to set. Again, I know, again, for us, that we are um, a little thin in terms of numbers and all of that. So it might be a little different now than it would look like, a couple months from now, if we have 20 people on the recruitment team, or 10, or even 10.
Mhm.
So, but yes, to answer your question, I want to work towards a model of ideally, ownership of contacts
Mhm.
with others covering when that person isn't available. So that would be like, hey, Ohio State University Career Service Office, I see that you just sent an email to ISA2, and ISA2 is not available right now. I'm covering our recruitment desk now. Maybe we even call it that. Like, we have a recruitment desk that's manned all the time. I'm the one on our recruitment desk right now. Is there anything I can help you with? Or do you want me to take a message that I can pass along to ISA2 when she's ready, when she's available? Is this something that you'd like a response to right away? Just some kind of way of them knowing that there's somebody on the other end of the line, and that they have somebody that can be their point of contact, that they can, develop a relationship with, and vice versa. We're using that familiarity to develop relationships with individuals in these career services offices, to be able to have more longer term, stronger relationships with the whole career services office, right?
Mhm.
So did I answer your question and all of that?
Yes, no, I think that's a good point. So maybe my thought would be that after we send out the email, we sort of take our shifts this week and sort of, almost like you said, claim ownership of, like, if I took the 8 to 12:30 shift, I can't, but if I did, then once a response comes in, that person then becomes assigned to me once I reply to them, and then I'm continually trying to keep up with that.
That's actually a little bit different than what I was thinking, and different than what we did before, because it actually gets assigned when you send the initial email, because the initial email
Okay.
has your name on it, or has ISA2's name on it, or has.
Oh, I see.
So it's really, that's where we kind of decide, okay, we have, 50 career services offices to reach out to tomorrow. So who, you'll take these 12, you'll take these 12, you'll take these 12, and then the people will just go ahead and, just send out the template to whoever they're assigned to, essentially. So that's where, in the database, you have those assignments, essentially, right? You have owners of the different contacts.
Mhm.
So that's where we probably do want to, figure out how to divide up that ownership, so that when the owner logs in, the owner can just send emails to whichever contacts they own, essentially.
So then would we even really need like a scheduled shift, because it'd be sort of different, like broken up by contacts rather than like time of day of response? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, the owner, the way the owner gets assigned is by the broken up, like the way I'm describing, right?
Mhm.
But the desk is there so that whenever any response from any career service office comes into us, that we have somebody on standby ready to reply to them right away, even when the person that originally sent them the email might not be available the rest of the business day for that person.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they're not left hanging without a response, that we actually have somebody that responds to them within 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, if we can get our response rate down to, right?
Mhm.
So that's, to me, that's the purpose of taking the shifts, is so that we always have somebody on standby to make sure that anybody that sends us an email is getting an immediate personal response, even if it's to let them know that their normal representative isn't available right now. I can help you with something, but we'll also make sure that Mariana follows up with you when she's available, since, you know, since something along those lines. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And I think what you'd mentioned earlier of, checking once an hour seems reasonable to me during your shift. I mean, that seems reasonable to me. I don't know how everyone else feels about that.
So that'll be the standard, that if you have a shift, that you'll check at least once an hour during that shift. Check
Mhm.
the email for any responses.
Mhm.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And of course, it can be more often, but that'll be the minimum requirement for somebody that's being responsible for that. Okay, great. That's great.
I'll pull up the template again. So I don't know if everyone's ready to sort of fill these out right now, or if we want to have that as something we can do tonight, we'll all add our names.
Maybe later on tonight, because I still need to, I would have to like look at my schedule and I don't want to take too much time with it.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So I have the link in here. So if everyone can just, tonight or early, because I think Jared, you said we'll send out the email tomorrow, hopefully. So at least we can know this before it gets sent out, I think would be a priority.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think, and just to be clear as well, I'm going to be checking, fairly consistently. So if we don't have any particular shifts filled, then I can still, be our backup, so to speak. It's just that, like we've talked about, I want to let you guys as students lead as much as you're interested and able to, and work with these relationships, each one of you, as much as you're able to, and then I'll kind of fill in the gaps, when necessary.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to add that too. Let me pull up the agenda again. And I'll add. Let's say tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Does that work for everybody? Perfect. Okay, and then Jared, are we sure we're going to be sending out the email tomorrow, or is that just our goal and you'll keep us updated?
That's a very good qualifier. I think, so the first question I have is, going back to what we were just talking about in terms of like dividing up the contacts, do we know already like how many prospects we have in each category that are like already in the system and ready to hit send, basically? And then do we need to go ahead and add owners, now that we're talking about it, to all of these different contacts to be able to divide it up? I guess we could actually even do like the owners could just show up and grab whatever. Like we could kind of make it a free for all if we want. It's like whenever you show up, you add yourself to 30 of different contacts or something like that. But I think it part of it is kind of dividing up amongst the different categories of prospects, like which template is going to how many prospects. So again, do we have those numbers right now? And is that we can do like a quick query in the HubSpot and say, okay, here's the ones in this category, there's 30 in this category, there's 24 in this category, that sort of thing?
I think I can pull those up quickly. the next thing I had on the agenda was to talk about handshake and the posting. So I don't know if you want to talk about that while I pull up the numbers.
I could talk about handshake and the posting. I think, so just to share with everybody, to remind you what our situation has been in handshake and where we're at right now with handshake is that, we had 3 postings simultaneously last month or the month before. So the different job postings were this one, Vaccine Considerations Project team member, it was our most popular. We had 22 different applicants and several different people, including some of you came from that. So that was our one main one. That's now only active at one school. It's expired at 15 schools, most of the schools we were at. So that's not being seen really anymore. And that was the last one we had out there. The other ones that more recently expired were the Agents of Change, which was our, generic one like we've talked about. And that one, brought in 3 applicants. And then we had the video production specialist that we also had posted for a while that brought in 5 applicants. This other project team member was what we had in the past. So that was created in January, that ran through the summer. So we had 21 from that, 22 from ARDA. And then, so basically, this is the performance of these. And in particular, we talked a couple of times about how, to me, a little shockingly, Agents of Change, only had 3 applicants. That was our non-public health version. So we have to have a non-public health version that works better. We have to have a public health version that replaces this other one that performed, decently a couple of times in a row. And then we also have to start to have the video production specialist and the other types of specialists that we want to start recruiting, especially like website development and journalism and all business and all the different kinds of specialties. So that's where we're at, is that right now we don't have any essentially job postings up, and we need to, essentially brush up or tidy up, or maybe even more for the ones that weren't performing so well, our job postings, and get them out there, once again. We actually, now that I think about it, and we did talk about this last week, is we have to have those postings completed before we're sending out all the emails, right? So, yeah, so really the first question is, where are we at with the job postings, and can we get those job postings, kind of finalized in this meeting and then sent out tomorrow, or what, sorry, my plug is falling out. So that's our first thing, is like, how ready can we be with the job postings, how quickly, because that's it doesn't make sense to be reaching out to career services offices without a post, at least one posting right up there. So let me throw it back to you, Cassie, let you lead that wherever you want in the conversation.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. I guess my question for you is, how much do you think we should be changing the postings? Because I know there wasn't a lot of traction, but we also didn't get a chance to, I guess, ask the career services centers their feedback. So we don't have a whole lot to go off of as far as.
Yeah, what we could do is that could be like part of the outreach to them, is we can create their past postings as PDFs and send them, or create a link to them, maybe put them online and create a link to them and say, we recently were running with these that, posting, some perform well, some didn't. We want to start some new postings at your school now, and we want to talk with you about what you recommend for us to have them be most effective, or something along those lines. So I think that can be like the entree. So maybe we don't actually have to have the postings on Handshake if we're, kind of explaining that we're in the process of creating the best postings we can in part with your guidance. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea because then we can get feedback before we go and sort of repost them. It does look like, I just looked in HubSpot, it looks like the majority of the ones we have identified are schools that we've never contacted. I am just a little bit concerned because the numbers that I pulled for the communication stage box don't add up to the amount of contacts we have. So I'm not sure if somebody hasn't finished their staging yet, but we are missing a good amount of stages. So,
So can you run a query based on the ownership, or however you had divided it up? You divided it by pages, right? So that's
yeah.
You're not able to really necessarily run a query down. Well, let's just ask everybody here. Has anyone not finished this? What's the exact ask, Cassidy? What were people doing for this part?
So we were going into each.
Can you actually share your screen and show an example when you say go in, to actually go into the contact and actually show what people are doing or were doing, and then we can see who has done it and who hasn't done it.
Yeah, so we were going in, like, say, opening this link and watching this one, and then we'd go down to the communication stage and we'd select one of the 4.
Okay, so Isatu, Tatiana, Mariana, did each one of you complete that, or have any of you not completed that yet for your pages?
Yes, I completed that for my pages. I had contacts page 1 through 1 and 2.
Yeah, I also had contacts 3 to 4, and I did that.
Great.
Yeah, I had companies 1 and 2, and I did it.
Great. Thank you all for doing all of that. That's great. So that's companies 1 and 2. So were there more companies than just 2? Is that what's missing, or did that cover?
So I did companies 3 and 4. It looks like it's the beginning of contacts that's missing. So Isatu, I'm not sure, did you do it in the career services HubSpot? Because it looks like it's these first pages that are missing the communication stages.
Yes, I did. I did it on the day we're talking. What was that? Last Friday? No.
I think it was last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, well then I'm gonna have to figure out what's missing here, just
Okay.
because.
Can you check the other page you were talking about?
Well, that's the whole other account, but technically it shouldn't have that field. That communication stage field is only in the career services HubSpot. It's not in the other one.
I remember that because I was going back and forth on the vaccine consideration page to check if I ever talked to them and if they responded. And some of them, actually, there was notes from Emma. She left notes about, how she contacted some of the service, how we didn't hear back from them, or they emailed us and we didn't respond yet.
So I think,
and I remember doing like both pages.
I think the discrepancy could be described by the 2 of you looking at different contacts on the different pages. So we talked about that, and we were, I think, expecting that you're both going to be seeing the same view based on the same sort order. But now I'm wondering whether it's possible that you didn't. So Isatu, are you able to bring up your login to HubSpot and see if your sort order is a different sort order?
1 second, I'm just gonna have to plug my iPad real quick. I'm on 9%.
Okay. So that's the only thing I can think of in it. And so it brings up, Cassidy, I think, an important learning point for, and I know we covered this to try to make sure that it was consistent last time, but if this is the challenge, is that, Isatu did a page 1 and 2 that was different than the page 1 and 2 that you're looking at now, and that's leaving holes, that we have to figure out a better way to divide up other than the pages, when the pages could display differently.
Actually, do you mind going back on HubSpot real quick? Sorry, I just I have to go upstairs because I'm in the basement right now and get my charger. But in the meanwhile, I think I saw my name on one of the pages. If you go back.
Hold on one second, because I just did filtering to see which ones were missing. So give me just a second. Where were you looking, Isa? Do you need me to click on something?
Okay. Yeah, because the 12. Can you click on the first one? Do you mind?
Oh. Gosh. One second. I see what you mean now, Jared, because I just filtered it.
Yeah, you changed the sort order. So,
Yeah, because I added a note by Emma. It was on that day, the 12. This is what she wrote. And I remember doing this for like all of them. If she left a note, I either added it and then I changed the communication stage. So I don't understand because I know there was no save button for me to click on after I'm done with the communication stage. I would just have to go back and click on the next contact or next for your service.
Okay, well, I'll fix this. I figured out how to filter it, so I can go and because I know we're running low on time. So,
yeah, I think again we have to. This is especially like if we had already I know we couldn't see it necessarily at the time, but if we had divided up all of the owners before, then we would just go to all of the ones that ISA2 owned, and then you would see, whether, so it'd be really straightforward. So I know that the pages seemed like the easy way to do it, and it made sense, and I thought it was going to be consistent and would work, but I think now we see that we have to use a different type of system to divide up contacts and workflow and that sort of thing. And so I think for the owners, it looked like most of them were unassigned. Is that the way it stands now? So
yeah,
it's really essentially going to be a matter of going in and just assigning. So I think, and does everybody have rights to assign, or is that something only you and I have, Cassidy, or how is that? Do you know what the permissions are on that?
I don't, because I have not tried to assign anybody yet, but I can play around with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more like, can everybody on the team self-assign? Because that's where, again, we could have, each person on the team show up tomorrow and grab the first 20 that they assign to themselves and then send emails to those 20. And then they're the owners because they decided they were. That I think is going to be easier than you or just one person going through and just assigning 20 here and 20 there and whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
We can turn it into a self-assignment nano action. I think that's going to be helpful.
Okay, I'll play around with that and try and see how I can give everybody permission to create or assign ownership.
Yeah, they might already have it. Mariana, are you able to share it and pull it up easily?
Yes, let me see 1 second.
So getting back to your question, Cassidy, about feasibility of sending out the emails tomorrow, I really want to have some version of the templates, ready tomorrow, even if it's going to change again the following day or whenever. I want to just get some emails out the door and get some responses going, and get us in action. So to me, that's kind of the most important thing. It's not as much about being perfect as it is about, getting something out the door now. So I think that we can get something out the door tomorrow, at least from my perspective, from the template perspective. And especially, again, if you say, like 90% of our contacts are this one category, well, at least I can make sure that one template is done and we can send that out tomorrow. So maybe if you can send me some statistics on, how many of each template is going to go out to how many prospects currently, and then I can prioritize them and make sure that we at least have a template or two that's ready to go out tomorrow to get us in action with a bunch of responses. Does that sound good? So, I'll do all 4 if I can, but let's at least prioritize and make sure that we can at least get something going tomorrow.
Yeah, it seemed like the never been contacted before was the bulk. Like I said, I'll have to go back and figure out what happened with those ones that weren't categorized, and I'll just get it done. But it did seem like the ones that were categorized, most of them were the never had been contacted before ones. So
Okay, great.
You can use, yeah, probably that as the like one to focus on.
Perfect. Okay, great. So then again, to get back to your question, I will have, at least that one template ready for tomorrow, if not more. So in terms of, my part of it, that'll be ready. There's these other parts, obviously, that we're still talking about, but we'll keep working out getting everything ready.
Awesome. Sounds good. Mariana, were you able to pull up and see if you could assign?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm a little confused with HubSpot. How should I do this? Like, how
Well,
should
just share your screen and we're going to walk you through it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Thanks, Mariana.
Don't worry. All right. Can you see?
Mhm.
Okay.
So the way you'll assign it is, do you see the little check boxes on the left hand side? How each,
Like-
so if you select one, see how it gives you the option to assign it once you select it. So if you
yes.
select assign,
Uh-huh.
and then you click the drop down, and then we should all pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you select yourself
All right.
and then click assign,
Uh-huh.
and it worked.
Oh, that's it?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Good. Perfect.
It's not as scary as it sounds.
Yeah, all right.
So that if you have access to assign, then everybody should, because I give everybody the same access. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
make it easier. So then again, that'll be just, pick a number and then have each person self-assign however many. And they can even choose, whichever ones they want, if they have like certain schools that they want to be in touch with or whatever. So this will be where really you guys, it's almost kind of like gold rush, if you've got certain schools that you have an interest in, So Cassidy, really just a matter of you saying how many each person should do, and then everybody can go in and jump in and do it as quickly as they want for whichever ones they want to contact.
Yeah, it looks like we have 92 contacts. So if we divide by 4, so that's 23 per person if we divide it by 4. Now I will say, like I said in the beginning, I am rarely available during Eastern time business hours because I'm working. So I don't know, Jared, if you have any concerns about me, responding like that, or.
No, I think, not all these schools are in the Eastern time zone, so you can easily pick Colorado and California schools and that sort of thing. So you can definitely pick schools that are a better match for your time zone.
Perfect. So I call dibs on the West Coast schools. Perfect. So then, if everybody can.
I was gonna say, don't nobody be a school hog. Nobody go ahead and snap up all the Ivy League schools or something like that, share and share around. Except for, Cassidy gets the West Coast schools. She can have the monopoly on that. So I think that's great. And we can self-assign, each take 23 schools. Yeah, that's perfect, and send them all out. I think let's just talk about what the load might be and whether, we have the potential to create problems for ourselves if we're all sending to all 23 schools tomorrow. But we maybe we should send to half of the schools the first day, to 10 schools the first day, and then see by the second day like how many responses we're getting. And then if we're at all overwhelmed, we stop there for a day or two. And then if not, we'll send to the other 13 schools the next day. How's that?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea, just to prepare. Because if we get 23 email threads going each, it might get a little overwhelming. So
Especially if I'm the one that's being left to pick up the pieces
yes.
in a week that we're presenting to the FDA and we're doing all these other things. Yeah, no.
Yes.
That's
Uh,
yeah, that's the thing, is we do have to think about like worst case / best case scenario. What if we are hearing from a bunch? Are we prepared to do what we need to do to be able to follow up with them all this week? I think that's kind of the bigger question too, especially with Mariana at least having a lot of time devoted towards outreach. I didn't see, let's go quickly and look at our hours just to see where we're at in terms of how many available hours we have for this week for the team. Okay, so recruitment, 18 hours. Am I on the right week? Yes, okay. So 18 hours, 7 from Isatu, 5 from Cassidy, 4 from Mariana, and 2 from Tatiana. Okay. So what do you guys think about doing 5 each on the first day and seeing, how many we hear back from, and then the next day maybe doing, another 5 or another 10. But if we send them on, if we're sending out the first ones Tuesday, so what if we send a batch Tuesday, send a batch Wednesday, send a batch Thursday, and then the way we're spacing it out a little bit more for ourselves, so it's kind of, giving ourselves a longer cycle to be able to respond, and we're still essentially getting all 92 out during this week. So how does that sound to you guys?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, I think.
Just to make sure, again, because we just don't want to, we don't want to fall. I'm glad to see the thumbs up from you guys. That's good. Yeah, we don't want to drop communications, which is what we've done with some of them. We have that one category, right? We reached out to them, hey, how can we do better? They replied to us, and then we dropped it. So we don't want to do any of that anymore. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that whoever we're reaching out to, we're in a position to be able to follow up with all of them like right away, and be very on top of things with everybody. We want to impress everybody with our organizational skills.
Yes. Yes, I think that 5 sounds very feasible and will help sort of get our feet wet and sort of the questions that they ask us and things like that. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay, cool.
And then looks like we are getting close to time, but sort of the last thing, and then if you want to still try and talk about setting targets, or if maybe we put that for next week, but I wasn't sure. I know you and I had briefly talked about pushing for recruitment. Do you want the recruitment team to be, the members to be allotting any time towards the presentation, or do you think it's best that we focus our attention on this?
Yeah, I think for those hours that we just looked at, those 18 hours, let's keep them in the recruitment team.
Okay, perfect. And then do you want to talk about setting the targets right now, or do you think we should brainstorm over the next week and sort of touch base with?
The latter.
Okay. Okay, well, then that was all I had. I don't know if you have anything else, Jared.
I'm just looking at the hours again, because I'm looking to see, like, for example, I'm seeing that Mariana has 9 hours total for the project, and right now she has 5 for outreach and 4 for recruitment. Mariana, I think I'd rather have you this week, because all that we have to do with outreach for you to be more like 7 and 2. and to be even more modest. So I guess I'm answering your question that you asked Cassidy, but I'm reversing my answer at this point. It would appear. So let me go back in and see if that's the case for anybody else. I think so. For Mariana, let's make this 7 and 2. But I think for ISA2, you have 7 for recruitment and 3 for business. Any reason that you did that kind of balance, ISA2?
Yeah, remember how I told you I wanted to focus more on the recruitment team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the balance you'd like to have. So I think that's good. So I think that Cassidy, you have 2 hours from Tatiana and 2 from Mariana this week. So, a bit limited and should be, kind of directed however you think is going to be best. You have a little bit more, quite a bit more with ISA2. So I think maybe you can figure out ways that you can work with ISA2 and ISA2 can do certain things this week, that's different than the rest of the team members because she has the availability for it. And you guys can maybe have, some chats back and forth or one-on-one meeting or something for you to figure out what's ISA2's role is going to be in the recruitment team this week, different from Tatiana and Mariana, just because of availability of hours. Sound like a good plan?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Okay, great. Okay, I think that covers everything, that I wanted to cover. I really appreciate all that we went over. I think there's a lot there. Yeah, ICT, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I have been working on the flyer for the QR code and I haven't gotten any feedback about it. I mean, you did tell me to contact the production team in order to get the Uniting for Action logo, and I went ahead and added it on it. So if anybody could actually check it, because I would like to post that tomorrow at school. I am getting close to my 120 hours of internship, and I would really, really like to be able to recruit some Ohio State students, even if they're just asking questions in the group chat before I am, done with United for Action. So.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, ISA2, all those different things. That's really great. I will definitely check the flyer to see if there's any things that I think need to be adjusted on it. Yeah, I think, like you said, I don't know with everything else we're talking about if tomorrow is the best deadline for that. I think maybe more Wednesday or Thursday for deadline for feedback from everybody from the flyer, so we can get finalized on it. How about Wednesday? Is that a good compromise for everybody? Is there a certain time on Wednesday? Should we say like by 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday? Something like that. Is that a time that works for everybody? And then that way, we can, ISA2 can work with that feedback if there's any tweaking that she needs to do on maybe Wednesday night, Thursday, so that the flyer can be posted maybe Thursday or something like that, ISA2. How does that sound?
I go to school like 2 days a week. So I'm at school either Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. It just depends on the workload that I have. Sometimes I just like to go to school to focus better. So, but this week I'm actually at school. I went today, so I'm going to be there tomorrow. That's why I'm asking if it could be done by if I could get any feedback, because I usually leave school around 3, 4. So, but it's okay. I could always post it next week on the board. It's okay. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So it would either need to be posted tomorrow or need to wait a week. So I think, okay, I think let's all give feedback as quickly as we can. And then I will look and see whether I think it's, ready to be posted. Just so you know, ISA2, even again, if there's feedback and you're doing tweaking, whatever, I need to sign off on any final version before it gets posted. So that has to be part of the process anyhow. So let's have Tatiana, Cassidy, Mariana, you guys provide feedback as soon as you can, whether it's tonight, tomorrow, whatever. I will look at it as well and let ISA2 know if I think it's ready for posting or not by, well, we'll be in the business team meeting tomorrow, ISA2, well, and you and I will be meeting at 11. So let's say by 11, by our meeting, ISA2, I'll let you know, if I think it's ready for posting tomorrow or not. How's that?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Oh, and also one last thing. I went ahead and made 2 flyers just because the first one had like more information, and then the other one I just wanted to keep it simple. I can post both of them regardless. I mean, I feel like posting both of them also gives it a balance, So whichever one needs like tweaking, just like if people could reply under that picture, that'd be great.
Okay, great. So they're both in the link of what you shared in the team chat.
Yes.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you, ISA2, for doing that work. That's really great. Okay, well, we've covered everything I wanted to cover. Cassidy.
Yeah, we got everything I did too. So I think we've got a lot of exciting stuff happening this week. So let's just keep talking over the chat and yeah, start talking to some service centers.
Absolutely. Awesome. Great job, team. I appreciate it. You guys are doing wonderful. We're doing wonderful as a team. You guys should be very proud and excited. And yeah, this is a very exciting time. So woohoo, go recruitment team. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Great to be with you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.